The storytelling. Nowadays, a seanachie has not much calling at all. People aren't listening to stories. They have the radio and the television and the films. But back in the old days, every village had a place. It was called the seanachie, a ceilidh house. The ceilidh was not what you see these days. No, not just dancing. There'd be all sorts of regalia, all sorts of goings on, as you would say. But at the end of the evening, when all the singing and dancing was done, they'd be gathered in a circle and the word would go out of our scale, tell a story. And around the circle it would go, everyone would tell a story. It might be an old legend, it might be just a little bit of gossip they picked up at the marketplace, but whatever it was, somebody would have a story to tell. Everyone there except for Jonzie. Now, Jonzie had no story to tell, and he was terrifically embarrassed about this. So embarrassed that he had to put several pints into his face just to cover up his embarrassment. And he covered it up well, I can tell you. Well, as he was making his way home, he began to notice the clouds gathering. There is never one trouble comes along, but a second one is on its heels, says he. And he began looking around for some place to get out of the weather that was coming his way. And down a little boreen he saw a little shed. He thought this might be a place where he could get some safety from the weather. Down he went and he got in there. It was an old hay shed. He burrowed under the hay to keep himself warm and he began to fall asleep. But just as he was nodding off, he heard a ruckus, and two fellas came in. One of them was a tall fellow, the other one was very short, but they were both wearing black capes and black hats, and each one of them wore a sabre at his belt. And between them they were carrying a corpse. Now this corpse was as stiff as a board, and so it was they decided they would make use of it. They pulled out 2 bales of hay, put the corpse between the two of them and used it as a card table. They were playing all sorts of dirty card games. Even Jonzie, fool that he was, could see from where he was hiding that these cards were crooked cards. And halfway through the next hour, they began arguing. "Never mind," says the one finally, "'tis time we were going, and 'tis your turn to carry the corpse." "Ah," says the other one, "'tis your turn." They began to argue about that until finally one says, "What are we arguing for? There's Jonzie hiding under the straw. He can carry the corpse for us. Come out here, Jonzie." Jonzie made his way out on his elbows and knees, whimpering and whinging. "Sir, please don't make me. Please, sir, no. Never you worry, Jonzie, if you don't carry that corpse for us. Each one of us will have a corpse to carry, and you'll be the one carried." "Oh," says Jonzie, and he hoists the corpse up on his back. Carrying it along like a plank of wood he was. Over the hills and the dales and through the meadows they went, until finally they stopped in a little low place in the ground. "We'll bury it here," says the one fellow. "Oh, sir, you can't bury it here," says Jonzie. "The ground is too soft. Sure, it'll sink all the way to China from here." "Through for you there, Jonzie. We'll find a better place to bury the corpse. Carry on." Off they went with Jonzie struggling along with the corpse on his shoulders again, till they came to the top of a hill. "We'll bury it here," said the other fella. "Ah," says Jonzie, "you can't bury him here, sir. It's all rocky ground. We'll never get him down deep enough to be buried entirely. At least his nose will be sticking out." "True for there, Jonzie. We'll find another place." And off they went down the road, and didn't they come to a churchyard? And there was, God bless them for their luck, an open grave in the yard. It had been dug for them for the next ceremony. We'll bury him here, says the man. That sounds grand. And they flung the corpse in. But now their trouble began, for the man intended to bury there was a short fellow. The corpse was a very long man indeed. "What'll we do now?" says Jonzie. "Never fear," says one of the men. "We'll just take that spade and lop his head off. He'll fit well enough then." "Oh, sir, that's a sacrilege. We can't be doing that, sir." "Oh, no, please don't do that now." "Jonzie, we'll do that, or begad, we'll have your head as well." And they began to step in at Jonzie. They both pulled out their sabres, and they were glaring at him, and they reached out for him. And just at that moment, didn't the cock crow? And they stopped. "Oh, you're the lucky man now, Jonzie. We have to leave at cockcrow. But I'll tell you one thing before we go, and that's not two. The next time you'll have a story to tell, won't you?"